Another meeting.
Mind your business.
Hello everybody, welcome to Mind Your Business. Two quick things. The first, I am from the United States of America, so if you're from a different country or a different culture, the things that I say here, they may not apply the same for you. Number two, I'm not a licensed professional. I don't want to deal with this. Look, I love my job, but sometimes my coworkers just get on my nerves. Why do people have to make things so difficult? Can't I just go home? Here on Mind Your Business, we focus on mental health and work, and we're going to look for some solutions for you when you want to avoid conflict at work. Do me a favor first. Do you hate conflict? Comment your answer down below and let me know what it is that you're avoiding at work. When you want to stop avoiding conflict at work, the first thing that I would question is it appropriate to avoid conflict? Sometimes we should avoid conflict at work. After all, in order for the workday to flow freely, we need to be able to smoothly get through things. Sometimes we can't make an issue out of everything. And also, we have to consider whatever it is that we're avoiding having a conflict over, is that something that might get us fired? Because if it is something that could get us fired, we'll want to have some kind of a backup plan in place so that we're okay when this conflict arises. It's okay sometimes to keep the peace. You know what? I'll do the report. You look like you could use some rest. Okay, but let's assume that your conflict is something that's important. Maybe you need to ask for a raise. Maybe you need to resolve something with a coworker. What do we do then? I would start by looking into what is it about the conflict that you're avoiding? Is it that you don't like the feeling of conflict? Maybe you have a hard time asserting yourself. Maybe you have low feelings of self-esteem. You might have gotten into a habit of brushing off your own voice and thinking, well, I don't matter that much. Other things are more important than me, but you do matter. So if you find that you tend to be a people pleaser and that's why you're avoiding conflict at work, one of the things that you can do is to start practicing asserting yourself, maybe in small ways to start. I'd like to take my break half an hour earlier today. The next thing that I would consider is, are you worried maybe about being criticized for bringing something up? Sometimes we can be scared of being judged by our coworkers and we don't want to feel like we're living in some kind of a hostile environment when we're at work. Just remember that the way that one or a couple of people feel about you does not define who you are, and it doesn't define the way that you do things. If you find that you're avoiding conflict because you're afraid of being criticized, it may help to have somebody that you can go to after work that you could talk things over with, who you know is supportive, who knows more about you than your coworkers maybe know, and who can reassure you that you are okay, that the things that you said are acceptable. I don't know, I think my boss thinks I'm stupid. What do you think? Something else that might make you avoid conflict at work is that you may have difficulty in the moment of conflict. You may have trouble coping. Sometimes it can feel like things are really urgent and we need to get them resolved quickly, especially when it's something that's uncomfortable like conflict. One thing that you can do is to go into the conflict prepared with what you're going to say, but also breathing, being mindful about how you're feeling. Slowing things down, not feeling like you have to be rushed. Remember, you can always ask questions if you're unsure of things, and you don't necessarily even have to resolve the conflict all in one sitting. If you don't like how somebody's speaking to you or you don't like the way that things are going, remember, you always have the option to set boundaries. In general, though, try to head into it thinking positively. I can do this. This doesn't have to be bad. Maybe you're afraid of conflict because you're afraid of what the outcome of it's going to be. Maybe you're afraid that you're not going to get what you want. Or you may just be worried because you have a vision of the way you want things to go and you know that you can't control it. Remember that you can't control other people and you can't control the way that every situation is going to go. So try to accept that from the get-go. In the end, you may have superiors, people above you, managers, your boss, whoever, who make the final decision. That's out of your hands. It might be helpful to prepare by being able to accept whatever the outcome's going to be and think about how you'll proceed from there. But also remember, since we can't predict the future and we can't predict how things are going to go, things may actually go really well for you. You may get everything that you wanted and you may even get more. Oh, well, that's actually exactly what I wanted. I think the most helpful thing that we can do when it comes to wanting to avoid conflict at work is to change our mindset away from thinking that it's going to be a conflict towards one of cooperation, that we're coming together with our coworkers, with our bosses, with our employees, whoever, and we're working together to look for a solution. It's a small shift away from butting heads up against each other towards standing next to each other and facing the problem. You know, I think we can all agree that we both want what's best for everyone. one. Now, if this is a complicated situation, perhaps involving something like sexual harassment or whistleblowing, it may be best to go and see a lawyer before you ever approach any sort of conflict in the workplace. Something to keep in mind is that an HR department, a human resources department, is really there to protect the company, and they may not always be looking out in your best interest. Checking things over with a professional may just give you that extra bit of reassurance that you need to know that you can walk into a conflict confidently. But can't I just hide under my desk? I know, work is frustrating enough without adding conflict into the middle of it. Sometimes, though, it's just something we can't avoid. It's naturally going to happen when you get people together in stressful situations working towards goals. The thing is, though, when we assert ourselves and move into a conflict with an attitude that's positive, assuming that everybody's working together for a good outcome, we may wind up feeling relieved at the end of whatever it is that we're discussing, and we may wind up with more than we wanted in the first place. We may just come out the other side feeling better about where we work. I mentioned boundaries and self-esteem here. If you're somebody who has trouble with either one of those, I have some free worksheets over on my Patreon page. On Patreon, I get to support people that I love doing work that they love, and I have patrons, thank you and hello to all of my patrons, who help me to humanize mental health and make the videos that you see here. If you like videos about mental health, why not head over to youtube.com/RyanLiberty, go hit subscribe. Thanks for joining me, everybody, on Mind Your Business. That went better than I thought it would.